Definition of photography and Wiki Loves Africa 2025 Photography Basics by Dappa Solomon. Okay, this a brief introduction. You know, when we hear photography, we know what we're talking about. It's just photography has to do with light, you know, is light and using your camera to capture light, create images, is also a powerful tool for telling stories, documentation, and artistic expression. I started photography because I saw one of my aunt's wedding picture, which was done in 1989, and the picture was, she lost her wedding picture. That was during the era of the analog camera. Once it's been exposed to light, film is burnt, like it's blown out. So what is photography? It's all about capturing of light using a camera. You know, it's grilled into different distance. The importance of photography is to preserve memories. I love memories, and you know, most times we don't take memories seriously. You know, when we are gone, the only thing we have left for our children is the moments we spent together with them for personal and historical records. We preserve memories through images and through pictures. And what I came in to do is telling stories with my camera. You know, you tell single stories, you tell stories about your culture, stories about your people, stories about where you're from. You also use photography to communicate. You use photography to communicate. You use photography to communicate. You know, we are in an era where photojournalism is becoming the norm. Everyone has to communicate through photography. Most of the creatives express themselves through photography. You know, you have to express yourself through photography. So that takes us to the types of camera. You know, we have, these are the current types of camera. We now have the DSLR, the single lens reflex. The single lens reflex is the one you change the lenses. Like the one I'm using is a single lens reflex. Is interchangeable lenses for change the lenses. You do manual focus. You control the focusing manually, and to get your precise. Heather, please, can you mute that person?
Loco, God of Elijah Estate. You know there? How much?
Please,
Sorry, I'm coming.
500. 600.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so you can go on. I had to remove the person. Please, let's remember to mute ourselves, please.
Okay, we have the single lens reflex, which is the DSLR. When you hear the word DSLR, is the ones we have now, currently now, they are all DSLR. They are interchangeable lenses. You control your manuals. You control the camera manually. You adjust it. You focus your lens manually. You know, this is for professionals and those who love photography, those who are enthusiastic about photography. Then we have the mirrorless. The mirrorless is the recent introduction. The latest camera now is very light. So the difference between the single lens reflex and the mirrorless. Now, when you hear mirrorless, when you see some cameras, when you remove the lenses, you see like a prism in front of it. But the recent ones, they are now producing is mirrorless. It does not have a mirror in front of it. You can still change the lens. You can still change the lens. It's still the same thing as DSLR, but it's lightweight. It's lighter. It does not have weight. In that one, unlike DSLR, you can snap without being scared of your image losing focus. The only thing you will be interested in is the depth of field. That's the only thing you will be interested in. Okay, fast autofocus and electronic viewfinder. So instead of you to be using the other viewfinder, which you have to put your eye through, you can just use the screen and you snap. It autofocus very fast. Point and shoot. Those point and shoot, compact and easy to use cameras. It has limited manual controls. You know, we have these small digital cameras. You just hold it, but you just point and you shoot. You don't need to change the lens. You don't need to start talking about the manual focus. It's just point and you shoot. It automatically adjusts itself to the environment automatically. So it's suitable for casual photography. Then we have the smartphone cameras. The smartphone cameras, high quality sensors in modern phones. Like the phone I am using is Infinix Zero, which has a very high smart AI-enabled features. We have the latest iPhones now, very powerful cameras that they are using, portable and always accessible. Then understanding the camera settings. We have what is called aperture. Aperture is also known as f-stop. It controls the amount of light entering the camera. It controls the amount of light entering your camera. It also affects your depth of field. Now, low aperture, which is also known as f-number, you have a blurry background, which is the depth of field. Towards the end of this presentation, I'll show you guys some images, which is, you have the high blurry background. Then we have the high f number. So it gives you a deep focus on your subject. It singles out your subject. So aperture controls the amount of light that comes into your camera. Very important whenever you are shooting. Then we now have what they call shutter speed. Shutter speed, it determines the long light that hits the sensor. For instance, now when you are shooting something like football, we use high shutter speed because it's motion. Fast shutter speed, this is for professionals. It freezes motion. It freezes motion, like the image that was used on the farm to plate design. That image, if it was not edited, it was shot with a slower shutter speed to create those motion effects you saw on that image of the man on bicycle. If it was not done with Photoshop, that was how it was achieved, because slower shutter speed creates motion blur. Why high shutter speed freezes the motion, you won't even know. That is where what is being used mostly on the football, photography, football, event shooting and action images. So you don't shoot a slower shutter speed, except you want to create a motion blur. Then we have the ISO, which is the sensitivity to light. ISO means International Standard Organization. Is sensitivity to light. You see some companies, they will ask you, what is your ISO and stuff like that. The same thing is applicable to photography. So when you have a low ISO, like 100 to 400, you have less noise. You know, noise in images are those grains you see on pictures. That is what is called noise, grains. Those grains you see on images, those grains are called noise. Best for bright environment. If we are shooting outside, you have to shoot between 100 to 400 ISO because of you are shooting outside and there is light. So you have to control your ISO and your shutter speed and your aperture when you are shooting outside. These three things work hand in hand. When you shoot high ISO, you now have more noise. So you see a lot of grains on the image. You know, it's usually done low light. When I used to shoot in the clubs, you don't use so many lights. You know how club settings, you don't use so many lights. So it requires me to be shooting high ISOs, and that is why you see some images that are being shot in the clubs or that are shot with high ISOs, they have grains. Those grains are known as noise. Then when it comes to white balance, this has to do with the temperature of an image. This has to do with the temperature of an image. You know, they have a lot of presets when you want to shoot in white balance. They have daylight, they have cloudy, they have tungsten, and they have fluorescent. Those are the common presets you will see in the camera. So we now have, we now move to focus modes. We have the autofocus, which a lot of amateurs use, or those who don't have time to be shooting, waiting to do manual focusing. Although manual focusing is when you have your subjects modeled. You want to do manual focusing, you have your subjects modeled. But if your subjects are not modeled, like you have a model in the studio that you are posing, you are controlling, so there's no need for that. But if you are modeling your subject, you have to shoot on autofocus. So what you do during that moment is you have to control the focus, the pointer where the subject should be and all. Manual focus is you that is controlling where you should focus on the subject. Your subject, do you want to focus just only on her eyes? You want to focus just only on his head? You want to focus just only on his or her finger? You just do manual focusing. So the camera modes. We have the camera modes. We have the auto modes. On top of the camera, you get different modes. When you buy a professional camera, we have the camera, you select, this auto mode is best for exposure. It's for beginners, usually for beginners that don't have much creative control of the camera, for those who are beginning or who are learning how to take pictures just for beginners. So you have the manual mode. This manual mode is the one I shoot more. I'm the one that is in full control of my aperture, my shutter speed, and my ISO. So that is the difference between the manual mode and the auto mode, because I shoot more on manual and I control the manual myself. Then the next one is the aperture priority, where you set your the aperture you want. Camera adjusts shutter speeds, best for those who want to be doing just portraits and landscape. Then the next one is the shutter priority, which the photographer says the shutter speed. Then the camera on its own will now adjust. The camera will adjust the aperture, ideal for those who do action shots and motion in blur images. So this is also another way you get it. Like this image that you're seeing on this slide was shot on manual. It was shot on manual. This was shot this January. Yeah, I did this January. It was shot on manual. Then the program mode, camera sets exposure, but allows manual adjustment. This is where you get more control than auto mode as well too. So the image you're seeing here, if you look at the background, you see one guy behind that is bent. You also see that the background is not much in focus, and my Two focus persons are the people that are, the other one arranging the lettuce inside the basket, and the other guy cleaning the lettuce. So compositions. Yeah, this is where composition is very, very important. Rule of third. This is where you divide the frame into a 3x3 grid. A 3x3 grid, you place your subject at the intersection points for balance. There's an image I will show you guys on rule of third. Leading lines, use natural lines to guide the viewer's eye. You know, when looking at this image that is here now, I applied the rule of third on this image, but this is for portrait. So she is in the center. That is where the leading line comes in. She is in the center. If I was able to open my Photoshop, I would have demonstrated that rule of third, but I can't open my Photoshop because of Apple and its wahala. So leading lines, this image, she is in the center. If you check, there is no much distraction on this image. My center focus is on the lady holding the dried catfish. I was walking through the market and she saw me. She was like, "Oga photographer, snap me." I said, okay. She posed with her market and I took a shot of her. The next one is framing. You use natural elements, windows, doorways to frame the subject. I have so many of these kind of images to display. So this, you see some images, you see people using something to form what we call a foreground. The foreground is like you causing a shadow on the image, but it's not directly affecting the image while the image is still in focus. Then you have the symmetry patterns, you know, which creates a visually appealing and balanced image. Then the fifth one is depth of field. We have shallow depth of field for portraits. So this shallow depth of field can as well be applied when you are trying to shoot an image that you do not want any distraction on. We also have deep depth of field. This is for landscape photography. This is for landscape photography. The next slide, we will be looking at the rule of third, the symmetric settings of the rule of third. You can see this is an old farmer. This picture, I shot it in Zaria. This is the rule of third. Now, if you draw 3x3 line, you will notice that this man is just by the right side of my rule of third, creating what we call looking room. This is where rule of third was placed on this image. So this man is just directly by my third symmetric line. Everything you can see is the symmetric line, the rule of third is all appearing here. So here again, you can see the deep depth of field on this background. A mother and a daughter, they are fishing. A mother and a daughter fishing. You can see the deep depth of field. If you zoom in this image closely, you will see that it has grains. It has grains. This image was shot at the early hours of, should I say as early as 6 a.m. or thereabout. Yeah, this was during my dad's burial when we were coming back, because I'm from a coastal line. Most of our activities are done from the sea. So we have a lot of canoes and boats and stuff like that that we use to ferry in terms of transportation. So when we were coming back, you can imagine someone that was coming back from going to pick his dad's from the mortuary, and I was here documenting. So every moment I'm with my camera, I must capture something. So hopefully one day this image, when he finally wins an award for me, I will tell the story how it was created. So that is why I still kept this image. This image is like over 6 years now, more than 6 years. So I still have it in my archive. So I will be releasing it for Wiki Loves Africa. So all the images you're seeing on these presentations are going in for Wiki Loves Africa. So it's to tell you now there's no distraction on these images. You can see that the image is well positioned, well framed. These are part of the things that Wiki Loves Africa looks out for. There's no much color, there's no much editing. Everything is just natural and it's normal. So this is another shot. If you check applying the rule of third, you can see she's just in the center. This is now landscape. This image is a baggy woman in Abuja coming back from, she was going to the market, and behind her is a donkey rider. If you look at the background, you will see that the donkey rider is also not in focus. That is where the depth of field comes in, and the rule of third also comes in as well. So my focus, I now have to place her on the center of my 3x3 framing. On my 3x3 framing. So this is a yam seller hawking on the streets of Abuja. She's a baggy woman. And before I took this shot, I met her, I spoke with her. She was like, okay, fine, take it. And I said, let me go back while she's still walking towards me. This was still in Abuja, where the depth of field and the rule of third came into play again. The center image is a lady who is selling oranges and avocado pear. If you look at her, you will see that she's not that visible. She's blurred because I didn't want her to be sharp. My focus is on what she is selling. Then the first one, I wanted the person selling to be in focus, while the orange, the pepper, the tomato is now used as a foreground. So you can see the lady and the man, they are in focus, whereby the pepper is in focus because it's close to the man, then following by, you can see that the tomatoes are not in focus because I wanted to apply a different dimension to this, which is foreground, is known as foreground. Is known as foreground. So I had to apply that in this image. Then the lady with yam again, this is now the full portrait where I also applied what I call the rule of third. So this is 4 basics of photography. After this presentation, I will be presenting how to do a basic touch on camera raw using Photoshop. So on this presentation of the basics of photography, do we have any question? Okay, Asma, go on with your question. You can unmute yourself and ask your question. Go on with your question.
I think he mistakenly raised his hand. Oh, okay, I'm coming. Let me allow him to unmute himself.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you can go on and unmute yourself now.
Okay, good evening, sir. Thank you very much for this session. It's truly insightful. My question is, please, for someone who is using phone, if you can like break all this, maybe some of the things in lay person's language, and it will be greatly appreciated. And secondly, I want maybe more light on this rule of thought. I don't really get what it means, especially someone who is using a camera, phone camera. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay, now when you're using a phone camera, okay, if you are using a phone camera, it's very easy. What phone are you using?
I'm using Android.
You're using Android. Okay, now go to your phone camera. Look for the settings.
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Okay, go to your phone camera, look for the settings. Go to the settings of your phone camera. It's supposed to have what they call lines. Look for, if you don't see, just look for a document in your phone camera. On my own phone camera settings, it's showing me, is on documents that you will see it. The rule of third is there on your phone camera. You click on document. If you click on document, your rule of third will pop out like mine.
Yes, sir, but what I can see here is just AI cam, light, and video camera. That's
Check
what
on the
I can see.
settings. Check on the settings. Sometimes it's not written like rule of third. It's when you click on the document or you click, different cameras have different names they gave to it. Like on my own phone, it is called document. When I want to change my phone camera, if I click on the document, the rule of third pops up. So different phone has their own different variations and all. Do you understand that part?
Sir, I do. Maybe I can work it later, but I don't really even get what it means. Like, what does it mean? Is it like dividing the photo into three?
Yes. The rule of third divides your screen into three. That is the 3x3 symmetric I was talking about. It divides your camera into three. Now, the image I showed of the old farmer, you saw it, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, the image I showed of the old farmer that is at the extreme right, that is, he was placed on the third row. From my own rule of third, he was placed on the third row. If you go by the symmetrics, so the first, second, and third, the three lines that it's been shown. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So many things on my screen. Hold on, I'm trying to draw, if I can draw on this board. Eli, I can draw on the board, right?
Yeah, go ahead if you want to.
Okay. See. How do I get the board now? I think I'm supposed to see the board somewhere. I think I came across the whiteboard. I'm trying to get the whiteboard. Okay. Aha, whiteboard. Can you see my whiteboard?
Yeah, it's still loading though, but it's coming up.
It's up now, right?
Yeah, it's loading. It's up now.
Okay. Now, this, you can see the shape. Sorry, the lady that asked the question, please. Are you seeing what I'm doing? Are we together? If you can hear me, please indicate. Confirm you're seeing what I'm doing.
Yeah, we can see it and we can hear you clearly.
All right. Okay, good. Now, who they draw from my whiteboard? Please don't draw my whiteboard though. Now, this is what I call rule of third. This is one, 2, 3. So this is first rule, second rule, and the third rule. Now, the image of the man you saw, the image of the...
No,
Eli, please help me. Thank you. So the image of the old farmer you saw is placed on my third rule here. Now, the old farmer has this first and second, which is the looking room. Can you hear me? You understand what I'm explaining, right? Who asked that question? Asma. Asma, you are getting the rule of third now, right? Oh, nice. So good. So this is the rule of third. This is how it works. Looking at the presentation I have made, when you place any subject here, the subject is on the first rule. Any subject that is in the center. Now, this rule of third, this is the landscape format. If you still change your camera to portrait, it's still applicable depending on how you place your subject. But rule of third most times is easily seen on landscape. So this is how rule of third works. If you're taking a portrait, center the person. So the person is in the second rule. If you place the person here, the person is on the third rule. So this is where the symmetric lines comes into play. So this is the symmetric line you have to play with depending on the image you are framing. This is where framing comes to play. You must apply this rule of third. Who is drawing on my whiteboard? So you must apply this. Oh God. You must apply this rule of third in your framing when it comes to photography. It's very, very important you apply this rule of third in your photography so that all your images, all your framing is within this rule of third. Some images take up all the rule of third, so everything is in frame, is in focus. So do we understand the rule of third now? Let me see answers in the chat box. If you understand the rule of third, please let me know in the chat box. Okay. All right. All right. So let me stop my whiteboard. Can you see my screen again on Photoshop?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Photoshop screen, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So this is Photoshop dashboard. And if you want to take your image on Photoshop dashboard, it's either you come and you click and drop your image on your Photoshop. If you already have a folder where you have it, you just go there, you open your folder. As for me, I already have a folder in my drive called Wikimedia. I have documents I want to look at. So this is still part of Wiki Loves Africa. And I pick one of the images and I dragged it to Photoshop. Now this image is on RAW. So I drag it to Photoshop. I will allow it to load. Now, this image is raw. The overexposure on the background, everything is white, no color, it's just there. So I have to look at it. First thing first, I have to look at the color temperature. You can see it's on 4,800. So I have to switch it to 5,000. Can you see the color temperature is balanced now? A little.
I think we are not seeing this part again. Maybe somehow your screen is hanging.
Uh-oh.
We are just seeing
Serious.
only the images as it was, the gallery as it was from the beginning, but nothing is changing.
Oh, it's moving. Let me share again. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I've changed the image. This is on 5,000. It's showing now, right?
Yeah, it's showing.
Okay. Now I have to reduce the white balance. After changing to 5,000, you can see the white balance at the back is reduced. The next thing, I have to, the clarity of the image. Very important, the clarity of the image. Guys, pay attention. That's the clarity of the image. I have to now move ahead on the contrast. Pay attention to the contrast. You're seeing how the contrast is. I'm trying to get a perfect contrast for it so that it doesn't look over edited. The next one is the highlights. The highlight has to still do with the white balance at the background, the overexposure. Just pay attention to what is happening to the image. Also look at when I will now take it back again on the white balance. This is Photoshop for professionals and those who wants to practice. You can see what is happening to the background using the highlights. So that is what is happening. It's same as the white balance. Highlights still plays a role to it. Then I move to the shadows. The shadow is to remove every shadow that is in front of her or that is obstructing me from seeing what is in front to give it a brighter. The shadows under her cheek is off. I've removed the shadows there. You can see it now. The image how is coming to light and all. So that is what shadows does to image. If you have an image, that is how you remove the shadows from it. So this is camera raw that I'm working on, is a raw picture. Then I want to bring some black into the image now to darken the water tank that is there. Meanwhile, what this lady is doing is called fufu. Some of us who knows fufu, this is how fufu is being processed. This is how fufu is being processed locally. So you pay attention, I now apply texture. The texture now, I just applied the texture. You can see how the skin is now looking. Remember what I told you about shooting with ISO that has high grains and low grains. You can see this image has no grains because I shot on a very low ISO because it was outside. So I now had to touch on the exposure a little now. A little, you can see the exposure. I will bring it back. I bring the exposure back. And that is for editing of RAW. This is how I edit my RAW pictures because I shoot on RAW. I do not shoot on JPEG. So RAW gives me a venue to play with the color, the balance, the highlights, the contrast, and everything about the image. So that is what it does. So I'm now going to open it. So when you shoot on RAW, it gives you an opportunity to have a lot of things you can change about the image. That is what RAW does. I forget now, dehaze is going to dehaze this image now. So dehazing it means that it's removing a lot of the lights, some of the lights that was not removed before. You can see the thing has changed. And I had to open my shadow again. Opening of the shadow, I now open the shadow to 100. Then I will now open the image. You will now see how sharp and how natural the image is looking. It's opening. It's reading the camera raw format. So this raw format is giving you more avenue or more opportunity to play with your camera raw. So can we see what just played out now?
Yeah, I have a question for you, Dappa Solomon.
Okay.
So what is the advantage of shooting on RAW, and is there any advantage of shooting on JPEG? Because I see you prefer RAW to JPEG. What is the unique thing about RAW?
Okay, now the unique thing about RAW, for me as a documentary photographer, I do not know where my work will go to. I do not know who will pick interest in the work and wants to frame it, wants to enlarge it, or wants to blow it up. So once that is done, if I shoot on RAW, it will give me an avenue to one, do my color balancing properly, do my color grading properly, and give me an avenue to expand the image to any size. Like if for adventure, they want to use it for a billboard. So it can be blown to any size of billboard without losing its value, in the sense without the image shrinking, without the image losing focus. You know, there are some images you see them, they cannot be, you see some of those images on social media, you see that they have reduced quality. So, and that is why most images I upload on Wikipedia, Wiki Commons I always shoot them on RAW. And once I drop them on any image I drop from 5 MB upwards can be enlarged to any size without it losing quality because it was shot on RAW. So RAW gives you an avenue to have more images to be blown to any size and to be played with during post-production, that is editing.
Okay, thank you very much. I have another question for you. So, talking about the RAW now, can somebody using, because we have people that do mobile phone photography amongst us and all of that, some persons use a digital camera while some use mobile phone. So, is there any way someone using mobile phone can get RAW on mobile phone?
mobile phone is like what we call point and shoot from my presentation. So he does not have that feature because it's point and shoot. So if it has feature for RAW, it would have been fine, but it does not have. So, and the way they have built mobile phone cameras now, you can actually have a very high quality image from your mobile phone. You can actually have a very high quality image from your mobile phone. So this is where the point and shoot comes into play. Like my phone camera, you saw the video I posted from the last year conference in the group, in the Wikimedia user group Nigeria, the video of Caroline. That video was shot with my mobile phone. You can see how clear and how sharp it is. So some mobile phones have high megapixel. Megapixel is what makes some mobile phones very unique. Like my mobile phone megapixel is 43. So the higher the megapixel for a mobile phone camera, the higher the quality of the image you produce. So smartphone cameras can shoot RAW.
Okay, thank you very much. And also, I will want to ask, imagine we have an amateur photographer in our midst, and he's just so used to doing the normal shots and saving on JPEG. Can you just show us can you just explain to us how we can someone can get to shoot on RAW? For those among us that don't understand this thing, maybe we might decide to start shooting on digital camera now. Can you just tell us how we can get the RAW on our digital camera?
Okay, my camera is Nikon. Is there anyone that shoots Nikon in the group? Does anyone have a Nikon camera?
Yeah, I assume we have people that have Nikon camera. So yeah, so many people are going to see this video online and all of that. So we just want to know how it is done.
Okay, so when you have your Nikon camera, you go to settings. You go to settings. From your settings, you look for the camera icon. I use Nikon D750, so the camera icon is immediately after you see the play button. So you go to the settings, you will now see image quality. You scroll down, you see image quality. You select it. Now they have different options in the image quality. They have RAW plus JPEG. Now they have different settings. They now have RAW plus JPEG fine, RAW plus JPEG normal, and they now have RAW plus JPEG basic. But I choose to shoot RAW. No RAW plus or anything. I just shoot RAW. When I select RAW, automatically I will be the one to control the light, like what we just watched now from my Photoshop presentation. So I control the aperture, the light, everything while shooting on RAW. So that is how you set your camera on RAW. You go to your camera settings, select the camera icon, and look for the image quality. From the image quality, you go and select either RAW or JPEG, or RAW plus JPEG, whichever one that is suitable for you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dappa Solomon.
So let's have more questions. Do we have people with questions? How to go about the basics of photography? Don't forget the rule of third. You need to apply it when you are shooting or documenting for Wiki Commons. Very, very important. So this has been a very wonderful time. Hillary and Wiki in Africa, I want to say a very big thank you for this honor to present these basics of photography